Hey friends, I'm Brandy Barnard. I am recording this video through Facebook Live for the members of my BrandiStamps Card Club. Hey everybody, I'm excited to show you guys the March 2023 cards. This is the Greatest Journey stamp set, which is such a fun one. I had seen a lot of samples in the catalog that used the dies and the paper and the stamps all together, which are beautiful, but the samples all just kind of had a similar vibe over and over again. And so my goal was to create something a little different, use the stamps with different dies, different paper, and just get a whole new look with the stamp set. And I was thrilled with the result. And so I can't wait to show you guys the cards. If you're watching this video, I'm planning to upload this later to YouTube. And so you may be watching this far beyond March 2023. And the purpose of me sharing this video is so that you can see what my BrandiStamps Card Club is like. This is a once a month class in the mail that costs $30. It includes all of the stuff to make 8 cards and $20 in product, which you'll see. I'll show you guys everything that came in this March one. And then I'll walk you through what my Card Club members are making in March 2023. And that way you'll have kind of an idea of what Card Club typically consists of. And hopefully you'll decide to give it a try too. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip this around. Make sure we can see here. Okay. Let's start then with the stamp set. Like I said, this one is just, obviously once you have gotten a stamp set out and gotten it inky and done a bunch of playing with it, you tend to fall in love with it, and that's what happened for me with this one. It's got a great mix of some different imagery, but then also some really great sentiments, both in the set. I love the font. It's a little bit different, kind of a fun shake-up, different look from some of the other sets we have. And I'm excited to show you guys the cards. So here is the actual kit that each of my Card Club members have received. So this is how it comes. It's marked, so if you end up doing it later, you can easily connect it back with the instructions that I have sent to you. Now, every person who is in my Card Club received a PDF of written instructions for how to put these together, but we all know sometimes we like to, get the visual and see how to put it together, and that's why I'm here with you guys today. So this paper will show you everything that's enclosed. So this lists out the different products that I included and what the value was. The value was actually $22 retail plus shipping. I mean, if you ordered this stuff and paid shipping and tax, it would practically be $30 anyway. And so what a good value, hopefully, you feel like for this class. These are the items that I included this time. The iridescent pastel gems are right here, and we're going to be using these on our cards. So I'll just open this up so that we are ready. These ones are pictured in our current mini catalog, and there are small ones and large ones, 2 different sizes. I actually really preferred the small ones, and so on the cards I mostly use those. And I actually mail my cards, and so I usually keep in mind that mailing factor. But as always, put yours together however you want. So if you feel like using big gems, go for it. Okay. Now I give you a half pack of the Delicate Desert Designer paper. Ooh, Delicate Desert Designer. And so here are a bunch of 6x6 sheets. You've got basically 4 of each sheet. So bunch of different sheets here. And you're going to cut up some of these to use on your actual projects. So when you go through your cutting instructions, it'll tell you to pull this paper out right here. And it'll say for card number 1, you're going to want a 2.5 by 5.5 piece of this paper. And so you would pull that out and cut that. I've already got them cut for our video. There are a couple different kind of sunset looking papers. Here's one of them. And here's another one. See how these are pretty similar? This is the one that I actually used on card number 4. I don't think it would make a giant difference if you chose one or the other, but I cut it kind of from this part right here. The size you're going to want for that one is 3 inches wide by 2.25 tall. And so if you can just cut your red line right about here and make the red the top of your designer paper, and then it'll be 3 inches wide, so you get 2 of them, and 2 1/4 tall. So it's kind of like not paper saving because you're skimping to the middle to cut that out. But that's how I did mine so that I could get the cool sunset look. You'll see that when I get to that one. And so let's put that aside. You'll have lots of paper left over to use on a different project. And this is actually quite a pretty paper pack. In this particular instance, I had originally created these cards with a different designer paper, but then when it came time to order, the paper that I had originally planned with was sold out, so I had to redo the cards. And wahoo, they turned out even cuter. Don't you love it when that happens? I was really pleased with the way that they turned out the second time. So way to go on happy accidents there. This is the third gift that I included this time, and this is the Wink of Stella Clear Glitter Brush. Ooh, one of my favorite products in the whole catalog. So let's just open this up. If you already have one of these that's going, feel free to set aside this new one and just use the one that you've already opened. But if this is your first time, I'm going to walk you through how to use this Wink of Stella pen, okay? So this is just what it sounds like. It's called Wink of Stella Glitter Brush. And it is a glitter brush, so it paints on a little layer of glitter, and we're going to use this on every single card this time. It's going to be so fun. So the first step to be able to use a brand new one is you're going to pull off this cap and set it aside. And then this whole top part with the brush on it screws off. So let's take that off and set it aside. Now in here we've got paint. There's a bunch of clear glitter paint. So let's shake it up really, really well. This little paint vial is not open yet. When you replace this cap, it's going to pierce it, and that'll be how the paint can come out. So we're just making sure it hasn't settled. And then there's this little black ring. We're going to take that off. That goes away. You can put it in the garbage. This time when you screw this back on, because the ring is gone, now this little black stem right there can pierce right down into the vial of glitter. Ooh, exciting moment. The glitter is now free to flow through the brush. And so what we're gonna do is put the lid back on and do some more shaking. Sometimes the glitter will start to flow right away. Each one is always a little bit different. So let me grab a scratch paper here. And we're going to give it a start. So you'll notice on the side of this little, the place where you hold the white paint vial, it says the word push. And I don't know if you can see that very well on the video, but yeah, it says push right there, which you are very rarely going to actually want to push this while you're painting, because once we get the glitter flowing, this thing flows just fine. And so there's no reason to push it while you're using it in general, but if you ever aren't getting glitter flowing, then you want to give it a little push. So we're just going to get it started for the first time and get it to flow all the way down through here. There's usually a moment where you kind of start to see it coming through. Oh, here we go. There's a little bit of glitter starting to flow down through here. And we're going to let it come down into our brush. I'm making this seem harder than it is. What I'm trying to do is avoid having it go crazy, because sometimes a whole bunch flows out and you really don't want that. So just be patient with it that first time to get it to start flowing. I'm starting to get a little glitter dabbing out. Basically, as soon as my brush is kind of saturated with glitter at the tip, it flows really well after that. Okay, so I've got glitter coming, and I don't want any on the outside. So I'm gonna clear that off, and this is ready to go for my projects today. Okay, so I'm going to put my lid back on. Oop, where did I put it? Ooh, oh, over here. Okay, so we're gonna set that aside, and that is now ready to use on all of our projects, okay? Now the other stuff that came in your kit are the 8 card kits. So here's how they look. This is card number 1. There's everything to make 2 of them in here. Here's card number 2. Again, everything to make 2. 3 and 4, and so a total of 4 different designs, and we'll make 2 of each one, which means when we finish here today, we're going to have 8 cards with envelopes to go and send to people who we love. How fun is that? So I always give you a list too of the other things you're going to want to have on hand. This month, everybody knew in advance that I was featuring the Greatest Journey stamp set, and so everybody has the choice. Order the set. I can include it with your kit for you, and I sometimes do a discount for that. You can choose a different set. So many of my card club members will take those kits and do it with a different stamp set that they already have on hand, and I totally encourage that too. And then I always give a list of ink colors. You're welcome to use similar colors you have on hand or order the ones I've recommended. There were 3 this month. They're Early Espresso, Calypso Coral, and Evening Evergreen. And so we'll be using those 3 different ink colors as we go. I also, on this particular stamp set, I needed my Stampin' Pierce mat. So I told all my club members to have this on hand. This is kind of a staple. Sometimes different sets need it. And so a lot of people I think already had that. And if not, it was just a few bucks to add that on. And then some other basics that you'll always want to have when we're doing our projects. Paper trimmer, scissors to cut ribbon and paper, take your pick tool, this will always help you place gems and things like that, a bone folder to get nice crisp edges on your cards, and then this is Seal Plus. I pretty much use this exclusively when I'm gluing paper to paper. And then mini glue dots and dimensionals are kind of my other specialty adhesives that I like to use to glue tiny things or pop things up. So all of these will get used on our set of cards today. So let's pull them out here. And I think we are ready to start. Oh, I've got a few people watching. Fun. I didn't even tell anybody that I was going to be on here, and so thanks for hopping on, you guys. Okay, so for this very first card, let's pull our stamps in. This is what the card is going to look like, okay? And I honestly have no idea how well this is going to show on the video. Let's see if I can tell it all. This little sun, the sunset there, has the Wink of Stella glitter. In person, it's just amazing. The trees have it too. So I've kind of just got my natural light going from the window. Hopefully you guys can catch that. But the card is just like this. Okay, so let's grab our card kit. I've just got the stuff here to make 1. You guys, when you go to stamp, you're gonna make 2. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, so here's all of our different pieces. And I'm going to start with stamping some of my trees. So let me get my pad in here. My Stampin' Pierce mat. I'll grab a scrap of paper since I have my grid sheet glued down. You can also just slide it under your grid sheet if you're stamping at home, but I can't do that here. Okay. We're gonna do a lot of tree stamping. Let's pop this baby open. And first part, this is my actual card base. I've got the fold up at the top here, and I'm going to stamp some trees up near the top of the card. So I'll start in the middle and do one that's kind of partly off. Come over here and do one a little lower. And another lower one on this side. There is going to be a lot of stuff here, so these trees will just kind of poke up above that. So let's set that aside. This is the white piece that's going to go inside the card. So I'll just throw a few trees in the corner. And I am re-inking every time to get nice dark trees. This is my envelope. Just going in the lower, hopefully I didn't, yeah, there we go. Lower left corner on the envelope too. Okay. Okay. I've got my designer paper. Oh, I already got ink on my finger. Oh, good job, Brandy. Let's get that off. You know, if I get ink on my hands, the first thing I always do is touch something else so that I've got prints everywhere. Ah. Okay, so this was the designer paper piece that I cut for this card, and it's going to get glued just right to this brown layer. So we'll roll and roll my Seal Plus. I'm just centering this about the same brown space above and below. Have it go all the way across there. Adhesive again. Okay, and then this is going to go, let's move this out of the way so I can show you. Don't glue down. Okay, so on my grid sheet, if I line up this card just right, each of these little boxes is 1/4 of an inch. And I want this piece to be glued close to the bottom, but not all the way to the bottom. I actually did it about 3/8 of an inch, which is 1.5 boxes. So I'm just using my grid sheet to help me line that up right where I wanted it, down low there. And stick that there. And now let's glue our inside piece as well. Now, those of you who live close to me, come over to my house to do these cards with me. I usually do it on the last Thursday of each month. People come over at either 6 or 7 p.m. So I have people coming over tonight to make the March cards. And then they just use my stamps and ink. So if you happen to be local to me, that's another fun option if you like getting together. But honestly, I have people who live close by and they still just take it home and like to do it on their own too. So everybody is a little different. Okay, next step, we're going to take this ribbon, and I have cut it longer than needed. The length that you want it is going to be just shy of the card width. So I just laid it across the card front and then said, let's cut it off right about there. So it's about as wide as the card, but I don't want it sticking off, so did a little less. And now I'm going to fray each of the ends just by pulling loose threads here. I just want maybe about the first 4 or 5 threads gone. And then I usually ended up with a little bunched up thread on the side. Just trim that. And then let's do the same on the other end. Okay. And then snip. Just like that. And then I've seen people try to roll the Seal Plus onto the back of a ribbon. I actually prefer the method where you roll onto the paper and then lay the ribbon there. So I'm rolling my adhesive about 3/4 of an inch from the top of this designer paper right here. Just roll all the way across and then I'll bring my ribbon to it. Right about like this. Okay, perfect. Okay, now next step, let's go ahead and stamp our greeting. So I've got this little white rectangle here for us, and this is going to say, wishing you joy in this next adventure. I actually love this sentiment. This could be nice for a graduation card, or anytime someone has finished something and now they're off to the next thing. So maybe it's a wedding card, maybe someone's leaving to go on some kind of a trip or a mission or something like that. And so we're gonna stamp this off to the right side. So did you notice I didn't actually center it on that white piece? I bumped it more to the right. And that's because later I want this greeting to be able to kind of disappear behind my circle. And so bump it off to the right. Okay. All right, let's come over here. This die cut right here, this is from the Rugged Icons die set. And I don't know if you can see the detail very well right now. It's been cut with this adhesive paper already on the back. And so this is basically turns anything into a sticker. You put it onto the cardstock first, and then you cut the die. So anytime you're gonna have anything that is kind kind of real tiny or it's going to be tricky to glue. If you put the adhesive on first, then it basically makes it a sticker, so it makes it really easy. So when you peel this backing off, it'll probably peel a lot of the negative space. So let me show you what I mean here. See how it's kind of pulling all these bits out with it? Because this circle actually has a little design in it that's mostly lines. Okay, so I'm left with a few little lines here in my mountains, and I am going to pop those out too, just using my snips. Now this is all sticky on the back, so bear with me while I manage to get these out and away, because I don't want them underneath everything when I try to stick this down. I just looked out my window and saw that it is crazy snowing again. Oh, that makes me sad because people are trying to drive to my house tonight to be able to come and do card club with me. So I hope that snow just stops and doesn't do its thing anymore tonight. Okay, now I've made a fine old mess that's sticking all to my fingers. It's all on my grid sheet. Got one more mountain to clear out here. Little tiny bits. I had not played with these dies at all until I was trying to look for fun things to go with this set, and I actually love these cool outline dies that are in this Rugged Icons set. Okay, I'm making sure on the back that there's nothing randomly stuck that I don't want. And then this is going to stick onto this mint macaron circle. And so it's just slightly bigger, so you want to leave a little edge around there. Watch me really struggle to get these pieces out. I swear it's never been that hard. Until I try to do it on video, of course. Okay, let's flip that baby over and press it on the back so we can get everything pushed down and it can look just right. I think I've still got no, we're good. Okay, let me get all this junk out of the way. Okay, now let's go to our glitter brush, the Wink of Stella, and I'm coloring in this sun right here. The sun is just setting over this mountain, and I'm trying not to get any of the glitter onto the brown outline. I want all the glitter to just go down into the negative space where that sun is. So I'll come over and do some trees. That part goes on the brown. It really stands out. You notice it a lot on the brown. I always have some people who, instead of just doing a little, they just go ahead and brush glitter on the whole dang thing everywhere. And so if that's your style, go for it. The way I did it is a little more subtle, but it really makes the sun pop, which is fun. Notice I came back to it. I'm doing another layer. It had already brushed on fine. There was lots of glitter there. I'm doing more. There's never enough glitter for me. Okay, that is ready to go. All right, so let's go ahead and stick on these two pieces. This one is going to go right here, kind of on the edge of the ribbon. And so I'm using mini glue dots, and I want them to go across the top here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 mini glue dots so that they go onto the paper, and then I'll do a couple down low as well to give it the equal height on both. Okay, so one. Oh, and I'm sure you guys are seeing I have this owie on my hand. I burned myself with the curling iron. My girls and I went to the Taylor Swift concert about 2 weeks ago. It was amazing. We were hurrying and getting ready, and I was curling Lucy's hair with one of those wands. And sure enough, I tapped it right to my hand right here. So that wasn't very good. And it actually has healed up nice for how bad it was. I used some oils and stuff on there. But unfortunately, I'm just realizing right now that it probably makes for an ugly stamping video. Okay. I'm coming over here. I want this fringy edge to show. I want green to show above the words, but I want ribbon to show below the words. So that perfect balance of where that lands in relation to everything else. And then this little piece will get a few dimensionals on the back. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and let's see, where do I want it? I want it a little higher than that, I think. I actually just remembered. Here's a tip. See the horizon line on my little circle? Line that up with the top of your ribbon. That's about how I did mine. Okay, and there we go. That's our cute little card. Card number 1. Woohoo! I'm going to pretend you're all out there just applauding and saying how beautiful that was. Okay, now let's move on to card number 2. Here is the kit for the card. The pieces that I sent. Of course, this is just the pieces for 1. You got everything for 2. All these cool bits. And now let's take a look at what this card actually looks like. So here's the finished card. This one is particularly stunning in person. You're going to actually stamp right on the designer paper and color in all these flowers with the wink of Stella. It's glittery and it just has so much dimension with that paper design behind it and the glitter and the one-tone kind of monochrome flower look with these gems on it. It just is really pretty. And then it's also this kind of gatefold card, so it opens like this. You've got a pocket for cash or a gift card or whatever. Then it opens all the way and you've got flowers there. So kind of fun. This moment is the start of something great. That is another excellent one for graduation, wedding, just whenever someone's kind of hitting a cool transition in life. Okay, so first of all, this card base is a regular 4 1/4 by 11. And then instead of scoring at 5 1/2 where I normally would, I just did 2 3/4 from each end and then folded them together to make kind of this little gate fold. Okay, and then we're going to bring this piece, which is the front of the card. This is petal pink, and we're going to adhere this gold strip across the front. So this is just from the brushed metallic paper pack, and this is the gold. I'm getting close to the end of this, so I'm going to use up the very last bit. Here we go. And then I'm going to use my grid sheet again so I can get it just right. This is 7/8 from the top, which is just a little more than 3/4. So go 3 full boxes and then 1/2 of a box, right about like that, and stick that across there. Now this is going to glue to the front of this card, but we only want it to stick on this side, remember, because this is how the card will open. So I'm going to flip this layer over and only put adhesive here. Let's get a nice overhead view so I can get this centered just like this. Okay, boom, boom. Okay, so you're going to cut a couple of different designer series paper pieces, and they're both from this dotted design. Now the design kind of has stripes of dots, and it didn't matter. It looks cute both ways, so don't stress too much about which direction the dots go. This one right here is for the pocket, and so let's come in here and stick this down. It's going to center right about here, but we only want adhesive on 3 sides to make our little pocket. So if you're using something different than Seal Plus, you might want to pop over it, like if you have sticky strip or if you've got the tear and tape adhesive, those would be good. If you're using Seal Plus, it's great because it holds super, super well. But you're going to want to do a full 3 sides. I'm really on the very last of this, so it always takes a little extra pressure to get it to roll. Okay, there we go. So 3 sides of this adhesive, I'm keeping a fingertip under my pocket edge because I don't want it to glue super, super perfectly flush. I'll show you what I mean. I'll glue this side and then this side, and then when I come down right here, just gonna let it have just a little lip. Do you see that? So it'll be easy when I'm ready to bring something here and slide it in. And now if you don't end up using this as a pocket, it doesn't matter. It just looks cute. It looks like decorative paper. So it's not like, oh, she gave me a gift card with no gift card in it. But it's there if you want to use it for that. Okay, and then let's jump over. Let's see. Let's do all of our stamping now. So we've got this piece, and the envelope that are all going to get stamped with the same flowers. This is a large flower image that's in the stamp set. And we'll start with the designer paper. So let's bring that Calypso Coral ink right to the flowers. Just remembered that I wanted my mat in here, so let's bring that back over. There we go. And this just about fills the spot. So look at the bottom edge and make sure it's kind of centered. We don't want those flowers floating from nowhere. We'll have them go ahead and start down near the edge. Press all over, and boom, perfect. Now let's pull in our, this is the piece for the inside, this is the envelope. We're going to ink up just the tall flowers that are off to the left, and we'll put those on our inside piece off to the right, just like that. Okay, and then on the envelope, the opposite, I'm going to ink up these ones. And then stamp on the left. Okay. All right, let's get that big stamp out of here. And while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and stamp my words. I moved my protective sheet because I want to be able to see the edges of this. The stamp that I'm using here, this moment is the start of something great. It barely fits on this scallop circle. So I want to have that dark background so I can see. There we go. Okay. Bring that back out. Okay, let's come over and do some playing with my flowers. We're going to use our Wink of Stella brush and color every single flower. Okay, so the flowers, I mean, if you look at the image, you can be fussy and pick exactly where. You can color the entire plant in if you want. I like to doing just the flowers. It definitely highlights them. The bummer on a video is that it may not show how fun this really does look, but it's definitely impressive when you see it in person. The glitter is real. The other cool thing about this Wink of Stella pen is obviously there's a little bit of moisture coming off with the glitter, and that will actually blend your inks because this is a water-based ink. And so what I'm doing is kind of swirling just a little bit of that Calypso Coral color down into the image, and so it creates more of a pink look on these flowers, which is a little more obvious on the white. You see how they're turning just slightly pink? And that's because a little bit of the ink from the stamped image is mixing in. Okay, and over here. And I always love to have my envelopes stamped just to give that some extra pizzazz so they know something special has arrived in the mail. Okay. Now this piece, when you cut it, you're going to be cutting this yourself, it's 4 1/8 by 2 3/4. I usually don't do 8ths and make you cut those because it can be a little fussy. Not everybody's a ruler person, but the 4 1/8 measurement made it pretty much perfect to be able to exactly line up in this scalloped piece. So this is from the Scalloped Contours dies, and it's so cute with the stitch line, but we're actually covering it this time. It barely covers the whole thing. I want to get that even stitching, that even scalloping, I mean, all the way around, just like that. Okay. Now around this piece you're going to tie, I gave you some crinkled seam binding ribbon. This stuff is so easy to work with, it's just so floppy. You're going to go down to the second scallop down, give yourself a little more ribbon on the left side than the right. Okay, and we're going to come right in to that second divot and then just tie yourself a bow. I start by tying a double knot, so let's tie this once. I want it just to the side of my tallest flower there. I'm going to hold it while I just tie it again. I'm not being particular about how I do it, I just want it tied twice so that knot will hold tightly while I worry about now how to get a bow. So just let that bow kind of happen however. Loosen those, tighten them again, get those the right width and loopiness. And then when you like how it looks, this tag is going to tuck right tight, right up against the knot of the bow. And this particular piece will be popped up with some dimensionals. So I'm going to put probably 3 on here. And just make double sure that you've got the words straight with the card. At least, I don't know, that's important to me. Do it right about like that. You can trim those ends on your ribbon if you want to. Now let's come over to our card. This piece should go in the inside. A light colored card like this, I don't always put a piece on the inside, but it just felt, this one's extra special. I wanted flowers everywhere on my cute little gatefold. Now this piece right here is going to get attached to the front of the card using dimensionals. So when I go to the back of here, I always put 1 in each corner. When I do these corner ones, I'm going to put them over the ribbon. That helps secure and keep that ribbon right where I want it. Put 1 in the center too, since it's kind of a larger layer. And then this will just get centered right on here. The line where your ribbon is should help you line up across that gold strip. That's why I was picky about exactly where the gold strip was, so that the line could kind of stay consistent all the way across. Made it a good design element. And now we're going to finish off this card with a few gems. So here's our sheet of iridescent pastel gems, and I'm going to do 5 of them. Did a white one and a coral one down here, and then 2 corals, maybe 1 here and 1 here. Whoops. Well, that one came off of its glue dot. Now it has putty on it. Let's send it away. Bye-bye, gem. Here we go. Okay, we'll put 2 there together. Okay. And there we go. Between all the dimension and the gold and the sparkle and the glitter, that one makes a really special card. And that's card number 2. Let's get that back on. And we are ready. Hopefully you guys are still having fun. Everyone's so quietly watching. This is card number 3. This one, oh, I don't know. They're all my favorite. But I love this card so much. This stamp, "You belong among the stars." I think that is so sweet. There are so many different times you might use that. Anytime to encourage or uplift someone or tell them you think they're pretty awesome, this would be a good card. Okay, so here's how it's going to look when we're all finished. We're going to utilize the cute little star and the stars stamp from the stamp set and the Evening Evergreen color. And then we're going to use some cute little cutout stars. These are from the, let's see, what dies are these? They are called, you know what? I didn't put it in the instructions. Usually I list all of the dies and I accidentally skipped it. Let me flip back to my cutting guide. I want to remember what they're called because this was kind of a fun find for me. Okay, Sentiment Silhouettes dies. It's a die set that's designed to go with some words, and most of the pieces, it's a huge set. The pieces all cut out these different greetings. But then it's got a few little shapes too, and these stars were in them. So Sentiment Silhouettes is the name of the die set. I'll have to go update my instructions to fix that. Pull that out, and let's come over here. This card has a soft seafoam card base, which is already folded in half and ready for you, and then a matching layer that's going to go on top of the card. We're going to set the base aside and do a little bit of stamping on this front card layer to start. Now, whenever I tell you guys to randomly stamp, I think the tendency is to do a lot. This one, less is more. So about 2 times down low, maybe a little half one up here, and some here, and just a little here. So I've only stamped this 5 times. I did not do tons and tons of stars all over this card. And then while I've got this stamp out, I'll go ahead and do a little in my envelope corner as well. This is another one of those stamps that is super, super delicate looking, and so let me show you the difference. If you were to use a heavy hand, stamp it hard, smush, ugly, not cute stars. Tap, tap, tap. A light hand, press it, but not very hard, and that's how you get the actual shape and sparkle and the edges on those stars. This is the right way. This is what not to do. Okay. Keep that out for our words. All right, let's take this piece now and let me show you a little trick. I had a pencil out here. Do I have it? You're going to want to grab a pencil to do this part, or a pen works fine, of course. I guess that's what I have handy. Maybe. Yeah. Okay, so what you're going to do is lay this layer onto your grid sheet, and you're going to mark 1/4 inch up on one side, on the left, so right here. I'm not actually writing on my card, I'm writing on the grid sheet next to the card. On the other side, I'm marking 1 3/4, so 4 of these is 1 inch, so there's my 1 inch, 3/4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here are my 2 marks, there and there. And now I'll take one of my little strips of designer paper, which you guys have cut. I'm going to lay adhesive all the way across it. And of course, this doesn't need to be perfect, but I wanted to give you guys a way to make it look very similar to mine. So there I made it go from mark to mark. I've probably got extra adhesive on here, so I'm not going to press it down onto my grid sheet. I don't want it stuck permanently down onto my grid sheet. I want to be able to lift it off and trim it in just a moment here. So I'm going to add, I don't need to do any more measuring because I can usually bump right up to the one that's already there. And I can go 1, 2, 3. Just like this. Okay. Now see how I can lift this right up because I didn't press it down and glue it to my grid sheet. Now I can press here and make sure that's made a very good seal and bring my paper snips. Always, if you need to trim something off that's sticking out extra, flip it to the back to do that and use paper snips, which are extremely precise and good at jobs like this. And there we go. Now I waited until I had done all of that to stamp my words on here. So let's ink up "You Belong Among the Stars." I'm gonna make sure I like how that's stamping. Perfect. So I don't need the matte probably on this one. Now I'm going to stamp it off to the right, or on the upper end of this gray strip here, just like that. And then you'll find in your kit this cute little cloud. This is already punched out from the cloud punch that you can find in our catalog. And I've embossed it with a new dotted embossing folder that's part of our online exclusives. I'll just use like 3, maybe even 4. This cloud becomes quite a showpiece, so we can give it some extra attention. Peel all those. I want this to go right about here. Just like that. And then these little stars have that same backing on them, this adhesive sheets. They are so nice if you're wanting to die cut tiny things, and then if you put this backing on before you cut them, they are ready to place. And so sometimes that's a lot easier than having like a fine tip glue or a Tombow adhesive. Let's lift that off. Stick that, this one will go kind of down here. And then there are these two to go up higher. I'm not going to stick them over the top of any stamping. I'm kind of going to where my spaces were in between the stamping. One more. If you have trouble getting this backing off, either a paper piercer or the tip of your paper snips might be able to help you. Put that one pretty close, like that. Okay, and now let's grab our Wink of Stella. I used this literally on every project. You could do these before. I thought they were easier to paint once they were already in place, but then you do need to be careful to keep it just on the yellow. These stars are in Daffodil Delight, so they make kind of a fun contrast to these Evening Evergreen soft seafoam colors here. Tip, tip, tip. Oh, I just love how this looks. I do feel bad though, because I don't know if the video shows it very well or not. I do have my daylight sun coming in here, but they are just so shimmery. Let's go ahead and attach this. It's just going to go on the card front like this. So I'll roll my adhesive here. Whoop. Let's not do that. I was gonna flip it over so I could look and see how much is left. I feel like it just keeps going. Good little adhesive. Trucking along. Okay. Perfect. Actually, I have a tiny bit of adhesive showing there. You probably wouldn't have even noticed that. Off. Okay. And now this one has gems on it as well, so let's pull our gem sheet back in and our placement tool here. Take your pick tool. And I put a bunch of gems on this. I did a couple of blue ones on this cloud. Maybe kind of there, and then a white one up away. Did a blue and a white down low here. Just made a real smattering of stars through here. Up above I've got a blue one around here, and then one last white one. And that is the third card. I really love that one. So fun. All the little shimmeries and gems, and I always love star stuff. Okay, you guys, we are all ready to our last card. Hope you guys are still doing good. This is what the actual card looks like. Let's get this up here and see if I like this sunshine. Okay. All right, let's pull this out. Okay, and this is the designer paper I was talking about at the beginning, where you might want to be fussy and get kind of red at the top of it and orange down lower. The width is the 3 inches and the height is the 2 1/4. So that's how I've cut this for you, for our video anyway. And we're going to use all 3 colors on this one, which is fun, but we're going to start with the grass. So another piece in the stamp set is this cute little just grass. And so let's pull in our mat, sneak it over here. I'm going to ink up and stamp lots of grassy fun. I'm doing them kind of higher and lower. I don't want, you know, grass. This is wild grass growing all different heights. And I have a little gap here at the bottom. I'm going to fill that in. Okay. Now let's glue that one where it goes and pull out its little piece here. This is your kind of large early espresso layer that's going to create your card front, and the grass goes at the bottom of it. So we'll start here. Like that. Now let's jump over to our little sunset paper and stamp our greeting. You don't want this all the way to the top, okay? Making sure we love how that's stamping. Instead of going way up in the corner, go a little lower than that. About like that, but I am bumping it pretty close over to that right side. And now for the sun, get this nice and inky. It's going to go kind of below the T kitty corner down here, just like that. Now, before we move forward, let's go ahead and color this sun. Be careful to keep the sparkles just on the sun, but it's almost like the more the better. You'll notice again that blending of the Calypso coral color. It kind of fills in these little lines on the sun, which looks great. Maybe even highlights the sparkle more. And just as much as you feel like, just keep adding glitter. It's kind of the showpiece of this card. This brilliant setting sun. Okay. So now this piece will go up top. And you'll notice a gap between the two. We've got stuff to go in there too, so worry not. Our next layer is going to be the darker brown mountain. So grab your early espresso mountain. Let's move this. Okay. We're done with all the really big stamping. And we're going to decide where we want this, okay? And so you can go ahead and grab your seal, run it across here. You don't really want it all the way on the ends. These are going to get trimmed off. But just kind of decide where you do want those mountains to be. Pay special attention, of course, to the sun and how much of the sun has already set behind the mountain and how much of it is showing. So I think I want it right about here. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to grab our little crumb cake mountain. It's going to go right up in here somewhere. And the tallest peak of my mountain is right here. This is the one where I want to do some stamping. I'm going to stamp the little dandelion images. These are the last couple stamps that we haven't used from this set yet. There's a taller dandelion that's going to go right under the peak of the mountain like that. And then a couple of shorter ones can go out to the sides. Something like that. And while I'm at it, I'll add a few little dandelions to my envelope corner as well. Okay. Okay, now back to this mountain. We're going to attach it in its little spot here. I want to use glue dots to stick this down because I want it to have just a little bit of height. Not a lot, just a little. So I'm going to lay this down across some of my glue dots. Just to save myself a little time. Just got about 4 of them off. I also want a couple of glue dots right on the mountain peaks so that when I stick this down, let's see, it's this one. When I stick this down, I will see that tiny, tiny dimension that the glue dots create. So now I'll come up in here, make my mountains line up where I want them, just like that. Okay, you can go ahead and turn this piece over now and use our same trick to trim the remaining mountains away. Just like that. Perfect. And now this piece has got one more little gap left, and that's where my Evening Evergreen, the window pane check ribbon, is going to come in handy. I want my knot to land right there below my tallest crumb cake mountain peak, so I'm making sure they cross. I've got about equal ribbon on both sides right here. So now I want to do a particular knot. I'm going to do right over left and tuck behind. This time I'll do left over right and tuck behind. And I'm going to be fussy about how I hold this ribbon when I'm pulling it tight because I want this little loop to stay nice and flat on the front so that it looks really good for my mountain. And if you happen to not like the way the knot lies or something like that, you can always grab a little glue dot. Use the tip of your snips. Just get one glue dot off of your roll and then come right under the knot and just tell it, stay right there. That's where you belong. And then we will trim these away. Oh, I just think this card turned out so cute. Love all the stamps in this set. It's almost like I love the words more, but then the images kind of like complement it so perfectly that it makes this gorgeous combo. So now I'll take my dimensionals and we're gonna go 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Whenever I have kind of a larger piece and whenever I have ribbon I wanna hold in place, I'll put dimensional on it. And then we'll go ahead and center this up. This was just a basic card base that opens up this way. This is in Sahara sand, which I will say is not anywhere on the card. It just creates a really nice neutral background for the rest of this card to live on and gives it all a chance to pop. And there we go. There's our Mountains of Thanks card. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull these all back in so we can get a good look at all the cuteness that we have accomplished. And 4. Oh my goodness. So fun, you guys. I had a ton of fun creating these. I hope you're going to have fun making them too. And I hope that you are loving being a part of Card Club. I love having you guys in it, and I love making these videos for you too, so I hope it's useful to have the tips. And if you haven't joined Card Club yet, please check out the link in the description of this video, or just email me, Brandi@BrandiStamps.com. You can check out the website and there's a link there. It's easy to hop in any month. Sign up by the 10th and you can get the kit for that month. And pretty much that's it. The rest is just stampin' fun. So have a great stampy day, you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.